What's up guys, it's Will back again, and today's review is Perfume, the Story of a Murderer. This film was first requested to me by Andre Redone on my Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates review that I released back on the 8th of July. Okay, so Perfume, the Story of a Murderer is a 2007 crime drama fantasy film that is based off Patrick Susskind's 1985 novel Perfume and takes place in the 18th century France and primarily follows the life of Jean-Baptiste Grenouille, a young man who's had a pretty rough time in life but is blessed with an incredibly enhanced sense of smell. Well, eventually he begins working towards creating the perfect perfume that involves preserving the scent of beautiful women that he ultimately ends up murdering because they won't give him their scent willingly. Thus, the rest of the movie is spent with Jean-Baptiste Grenouille as he hones his skills as an inspiring perfumer, all the while working manual slave-like labor and becoming a serial killer of beautiful women in his spare time. Okay, so I gotta say, this is one weird-ass movie. But in terms of quality, I'd say it's an above-average film, but in my opinion, it's certainly not a great film. As far as the story goes, I think there are hills and valleys, so to speak, in terms of the quality of the story. The first act does a pretty decent job introducing Jean-Baptiste and showing what his upbringing was like, why he's as messed up as he is, and how gifted he is when it comes to all things smell. And this part of the story I thought was pretty well executed because you get to see his gradual transformation into his serial killer self that's simply obsessed with preserving the scent of these beautiful women that he feels he absolutely needs to add to his collection. Because in his eyes, he kills these women out of necessity rather than some urge or simple desire he's trying to fulfill. He feels the need to have these beautiful women's scents at all costs. Act 2 I thought was the best act of this film because at around 50 minutes or so into this movie, things start really heating up and getting dramatic and suspenseful and just way more exciting in my opinion. This is mostly because he actually starts killing these women and building his collection, and you get to see people frantically trying to solve these murders and bring the killer to justice that we as the viewer know as Jean-Baptiste. He gets deeper and deeper into this violent need of building his scent collection, and you watch him become affected by it in negative ways, and obviously he affects others in negative ways because he's killing innocent women who mean a lot to their friends and families, and I'm sure those women don't want to lose their lives either. But Act 3 for me was a total bust because everything just goes completely off the rails and just becomes very, very silly very quickly. I won't spoil anything for you, but the climax and end of the film left me very disappointed because of how ridiculous and anticlimactic they were. I get this story is a little silly when you think about it, but any sense of this actually happening kind of flew out the window in the last act of this film. The ending especially, I was like, did that just happen? What the So some aspects of this film I really enjoyed. Firstly, the music. It's very eerie and I really enjoyed how dark and twisted it sounded when the story called for it. There were also some moments where the music needed to sound large and epic, and it did so perfectly as well. I also felt that the film was very uniquely shot and edited. More specifically, I felt like it was shot in a way that added a lot of darkness and suspense and pure tension to the scenes that called for it. I was genuinely nervous for all the women that came into contact with Jean-Baptiste because they don't know what you know as the viewer about him and all the things he's done. I mean, you can definitely tell he's creepy as hell, but anytime these women interacted with Jean-Baptiste, things are supposed to feel very tense, and the editing and cinematography do a good job of relaying that message. I also felt the acting in this film was top notch. There's 4 characters in this movie that I believe make a significant impact on the story being told, and that's obviously Ben Whishaw in the role of Jean-Baptiste, Dustin Hoffman in the role of Giuseppe Baldini, who is Jean-Baptiste's perfume mentor, the great Alan Rickman in the role of Richie's, and Racheul Hurd-Wood in the role of Laura, Richie's daughter. Once again, American pronouncing these names here, so if I'm not pronouncing them 100% correctly, please forgive me. But Ben Whishaw in the role of Jean-Baptiste was absolutely fantastic. I've only ever seen him in the role of Q in the most recent James Bond films, but he was creepy and dark and cold and calculating in the role of Jean-Baptiste Grenouille in a way that was very interesting. The other 3 actors do great as well in somewhat limited screen time, but they do each bring something special and unique to the story being told. I thought Alan Rickman was especially fantastic, but he was always great in any film he did. One other thing that I didn't particularly enjoy about this film was the narration. It just felt very cheesy and out of place to me. This story feels like a drama that's a little over the top, but still has that suspenseful and dramatic tone with some thriller elements sprinkled in every now and then. But anytime the narrator began speaking, things just got too silly for me, and it just sort of killed the entire vibe and flow of the story. There's even a few cases where the narrator will say things that's supposed to be funny, and I'm like, is this a comedy or a drama drama film. I get there are some fantasy elements here, but sometimes it just goes way too far. Okay, so overall I think this film is solid and I was entertained, but it definitely fell short of being labeled a great film in my eyes. I thought it had a decent Act 1 and a very strong Act 2, some good acting, very unique cinematography, and good music that added to the suspensefulness and eeriness of the story. I also felt that Act 3 goes completely off the rails and gets too crazy, the narration felt a bit cheesy and out of place, and there are some points where the story is pretty boring. I'm gonna give this film a 7 out of 10 and say that if you're looking for a unique and interesting R-rated drama film, then this one is worth a watch. So did you guys see Perfume, the story of a murderer yet? What did you think of it? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if not, let me know whether you'd be interested in watching this film or not. And as always, if you like this video, click that like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel for much more content like this. Thanks again to Andre Redone for the request, whose channel link you can find in the description below. Keep them coming, everyone. That's all for now though. This is WillFoxification signing off. See you in the next review.